Okay, I forgot to push the live button. Go figure. I'm still new at this. I'm going on StreamYard, and I am no expert in this Bible study stuff, but I feel a calling, a need to do this. So here it goes. This is Good Afternoon, and this is Chapter 2 from Amazing Freedom Bible Study. Um, and we are freedom from paralyzing fears. Um, and the Bible scripture, it has Proverbs chapter 3, verse 24. And on here, right here in the book, right here in the book. When you lay down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lay down and your sleep will be sweet. That is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 24. And I like when you have a devotional, you always want to recheck it with your Bible. So, and I have my Bible here. And let's see, chapter 3, verse 24. When thou layest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lay down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Well, basically says the same thing, but I still like referring back to my Bible, and I am reading King James Version of the Bible. Like I said, I am no expert in any of this in Bible study. I'm learning as well. I feel the need to speak out, search for the Bible, and I feel the need to spread what I need to do. So, spread this devotional with you. I'm going to read, and feel free to jump on here, anybody. We've all heard the phrase crippling emotions. The truth is, emotions can shackle a person from moving forward in her life, especially fearful emotions. How much fear have you allowed to build up in you over the years? Perhaps a fear of failure or a fear of rejection. To what degree is fear holding you back from taking the risk to learn, to try, to do, to speak up, to step out, to move forward? This is my fear of speaking out right now. Um, Let me finish. A woman who truly walks in freedom toward the fulfillment of her dreams and goals is a woman who has discovered a way of overcoming fears with faith. Sheila Walsh has written this about fear. Fear is a ravenous beast that can eat away at our faith and paralyze us until we are unable to move. I fear. Fear is of the devil. It is not of God. Um, I've always been told that, at least per se. And I do have some fears. Okay. Now, for the questions. Have you ever been paralyzed by fear? Recall the experience in a few words or phrases below. Um, yes, I have been paralyzed by fear. Oh, there goes a tractor down the road. One of the things is my fear of heights. I can't climb to a big tall area unless it's in a building. If it's in a building, I'm sort of okay, sort of kind of. Um, but another big fear I had is when our son came home from the hospital after he was born. I had a fear of taking care of him. And of course, my nervous stomach reacted and I did get sick a few times. And I also had fear of giving chemo through a IV push when my daughter was going through leukemia. So that is a few of my fears. Um, and I still haven't started soap, y'all, making soap. I'm probably going to wait until after Thanksgiving holiday, sometime in December, go and get stuff I need. to try to start learning how to do it. How did you find yourself able to move again? I prayed on both my son Cody and my daughter. I prayed that I was able to do it, and I was able to do it. Thank goodness. Thank God for his helpfulness on everything. Looking back now, with taking care of Cody, I feel that it was God was holding me up during that time. So, hello, Southern Sandy. How are you doing? Glad to have you join us here. Um, like I said, I'm no expert on any of this Bible stuff, but I feel the need to share the gospel. So, and in this book, it says faith is a true opposite of fear. The Bible states repeatedly that trusting in the Lord, believing that the Lord will impact his presence and help, is a surefire way to overcome fear and experience courage. Um, I had a saying, but I don't remember what it was about courage and with God and stuff, but I don't remember it. So, hello, Coupon Gal. How are you doing today? Um, the next question is, we got to read Passage of Ways and my insights to what the Bible says about fear. The first one is 2 Timothy verse 1, chapter 1, verse 7. And 2 Timothy is in the New Testament. I do believe, like I said, there it is, chapter 1, verse 7. For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So that is basically saying the fear isn't of God, it's of the devil. That God gave us a spirit of love and not of fear and of a sound mind. That's where I have issues with sometimes. And the next one is Psalm chapter 31, verse 13 through 14, and that is in the Old Testament. That's okay, chapter 31. I should have had these marked and tabbed, but of course I didn't. Chapter 31, 13 and 14. For I have heard the slander of many fear was on every side, while they took counsel together against me. They devised to take away my life. But I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, Thou art my God. I feel this scripture is saying that there are people that have talked against you, but you have God is on your side. God is totally on your side. Thank you, Gail. And happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Gail, and to everyone out there. But I feel Psalm 31, 13 through 14 is don't fear. You got to trust in God. Don't let fear take over. Don't let the way people talk about you behind your back, don't let that discourage you one bit. Hebrews 13, chapter 13, verse 5 and 6, and that is in the Old Testament as well. The New Testament. Sorry about that. It is before James. Let's see, chapter 13, verse 5 through 6. In this deal, it says, in this devotional, it has chapter 13, verse 5b through 6 in Hebrews. Thank you, Gail, for sharing me out. And I bet you that McDonald's is pretty good, even though you're being bad. Anywho, so I'm going to go ahead and read the full verses 5 and 6. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me. So that just, excuse me, that is just going back to what I said. Um, don't worry about people talking behind your back, because it's, well, at least you got always, Sarah, that at least they're talking about you and not somebody else. Um, and I'm sure there's a lot of people around my community that talk, bad about me, but God's fighting my battles, which is very hard to do. Sometimes let him fight your battles. The next question is, when you think about the goals you'd like to achieve, what fears do you have about the pursuit of those goals? I don't really know on that one. Don't really know what my answer would be on that. Um, except my fear about saying the right things during this Bible study. Um, because I feel that I am being called to do this. I don't know if it's through, hopefully it's through YouTube. Oh, we got UPS guy out here. That's just weird. Never have him stop here before. I don't think he's just going around the corner. At least he's not speeding down the road like he usually does. Um, Now take a look at each fear on your list and ask, what would God like me to do about this fear? Um, don't fear. Speak out. Um, Share the gospel, and say that you're no expert. I've never gone to um, seminary school or anything of that nature. I've never done that, but I feel the need to share the gospel. That it just in my heart that I need to do this. Number 4, think about a time when you failed in the past. What were the intimate emotions and consequences of that failure? Did you allow a long-term fear to develop? Um, I feel that, yes, I have done some failures. I have done some garden crops that were failures. Um, and I did have one failed marriage. Yes, I've been married twice. But God, God was there through all of it, all of it. Um, but I don't let it take over what's in my life now. I don't let that rule who I am. Um, you got to keep trying. You like they say, get on the horse. If the horse bucks you off, get back on. Um, why do you think we fear failure so much? Um, that was the next question. The reason why I feel that we fear failure so much is because we want to be perfect. We don't want to have any imperfection whatsoever, none whatsoever. Um, I feel that sometimes in this world that we live in now, it wants everybody to be perfect. We got to be perfect, even though we as humans, we are not perfect. I don't plan to be perfect. I don't want to be perfect, but I want to be perfect in God's eyes only. Not in my eyes, not in the world's eyes. I want to be perfect. But God made me, so he loves all my imperfections, no matter what they are. Okay. The Bible tells a story of a woman who decided she had had enough of her illness and went to Jesus for healing. She no doubt had fears about what she was planning to do. She had experienced a flow of blood for 12 years. This is kind of personal, y'all. um, Very likely a form of endometriosis or some other disorder in her uterus that caused nonstop menstruation or hemorrhage. She was very likely physically weak. She was also desperate. She had spent all the resources she had trying to find a cure. The Bible says she had been so many physicians and had suffered at their hands and was no better, but rather she grew worse. Then she heard about Jesus. Somewhere inside her, a flicker of faith was fanned into a flame. She said to herself, "If only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well." She boldly maneuvered her way through a crowd of people and reached out to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. The Bible says that the flow of blood dried up immediately. It says, see Mark chapter 5, 25 to 34. Go back to Mark, and it is in the New Testament. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Yep. Yes, I agree. We need to embrace our non-perfect self. I always, when our son was born, my mother-in-law said that he was perfect, even though he was imperfect. He was perfect in God's eyes, even though he couldn't talk, he couldn't walk, he couldn't speak, he couldn't swallow. He had so many issues, but in God's eyes, he was perfect. Um, this is Mark 25 through 34. I'm going to read these scriptures. And a certain woman which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing better, but grew rather worse. When she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment. For she said, "If I may touch his clothes, I shall be whole." And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. When Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him turned him about in the press, and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And then his disciples said unto him, "Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And he looked around about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him, and told him all the truth. And he said unto her, "Hello, Crystal." Hi, Tiny Tim. And he told him all the truth. And he said unto her, "Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace, and be whole of thy plague." While he while he yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain which said, "Thy daughter is dead. Thou troublest thou the master any further?" Um, I feel I've gone through this not as a mother, wondering, well, what's wrong with my daughter, and it was very, 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 very hard to keep going. Every other week I would go to the doctor, and because she was running a fever, and she's like, "We don't know, it's kidney infection, it's kidney infection." And each time the doctors just brushed it aside. And then after 6 months, I finally said, "Hey, I can understand if it's kidney infection, but they would, swab the little petri dish, and they would, nothing would grow. So it wasn't kidney infection." Nope, hold on a second. I gotta answer this call. I'll be right back, guys. Yay, I'm back. How do I do that, Gail? Make you a mod. I'm still learning on this. Let's see. I don't know how I can do that, Gail. Anyway, what I was going back to saying, that after 6 months of going to the doctor every other week, we was going to the doctor because she had a fever. Let's see if I do this here. No. I'm trying to figure this out, Gail. Anyway, going back and forth because she had a fever, and I'm like, okay, doctor, I understand if she actually had kidney infection, but nothing's growing on the petri dish. So let's go ahead and do some more labs. So they did labs, and it just happened that night. She had a nosebleed that lasted an hour and a half. I am on laptop, Gail. I am on the laptop. I'll go over here for a minute. No, that ain't what I want. Anyway, so she had a nosebleed that lasted an hour and a half. So we had the first responders out there, and I missed the first responder that showed up. And he got it to stop, helped me get it stopped. We took her to the ER, and they went ahead and they said 70% chance she has leukemia. You guys need to go to St. Louis. They would not let us leave. So we went ahead and they ambulances us up to St. Louis, and we found out she had leukemia. But she's doing great today. So I'm going to get back to my questions. How do you think you would have responded to your situation if you had been in this woman's position? I really don't think I would be bold enough to touch his garment or to say what was going on. But then again, as a mother, I was bold enough to say, hey, so I know something's going on. But as a mother, you're your child's biggest advocate. Even if you're a stepmom, you're still your child's biggest advocate. Let's see what this is. I'm looking and seeing what all these other little buttons. Like I said, this is my second time doing on StreamYard. Well, third time. So, have you ever been so desperate in your circumstances that you knew you had to take action, no matter the consequences, to your reputation, your pride, or your social standing? What happened as a result of your desperation? Yes, I have. I've done this. I have argued with a DON of a home health agency. Um, At the time, um, our son Cody, he was he. Let me see how I can say this. He would turn blue just out of the blue. Out of the blue, he would be blue, and he would go ahead and he would turn blue during this time. Um, the nurses that came in our home, he was he turned blue. They warned the nurses that he would turn blue. And there was this one time, it was probably towards the end of his life. I think that's when it was, because he was on oxygen at that time. I don't know if he was on the 100% liquid oxygen yet or not, but he would go ahead and he turned blue. So the nurse that was there wanted to give him medicine that we had for that time when he was passing, to make it easier on us instead of easier on Cody. And he would, and I said, no, it's not that time. It's not that time yet. And she said, well, so she called her DON. The DON talked to me and said, well, yeah, I think we really need to give him the medicine. I'm like, no, it is not that time. It is not time to give him that medicine to ease his passing. And so I went ahead and I argued with the DON. And it just happened to be that a hospice nurse was stopping by there today, and she said I was in the right. It wasn't that time to give him. She said, well, you know your son. You know him. And I'm like, I'm so thankful, because we had another couple of months with him. So, and Cody lived to be almost 3. He wasn't supposed to live 6 weeks. This woman who was hemorrhaging had more than a physical ailment. She also suffered from rejection and very likely loneliness. Her condition made her unclean in her community at that time, which meant she was required to refrain from mingling with the crowds of people or participating in religious ceremonies. For 12 years, she had been isolated from many of her neighbors and friends. She was prohibited from taking part in many family celebrations. After she touched the hem of Jesus' garment, Jesus turned and asked, who touched my clothes? The woman, fearing and trembling, fell down at Jesus' feet and told him the whole truth. He said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction. What advantages do you see in telling Jesus the whole truth about your situation, including your fears? Jesus knows the whole truth. That just plain and simple. He knows the whole truth about all of his children. I mean, yes, you should tell him the whole truth, so that he will know, but he already knows. He already knows about all of his children. Excuse me. Why would a person be reluctant to admit the whole truth to anybody about her fears or his fears? Perhaps even refusing to admit the whole truth to herself. Yes, my phone is with me somewhere. Um, Sometimes it's hard to admit to ourselves the truth because we don't want to see it. There's a lot of things that I admit to myself. My husband knows, my daughter Crystal knows, my other daughter knows, but I'm not ready to admit it to the whole world, if that makes sense. Um, I'm just not ready to do that yet. Um, that's one fear I have, whether people would accept me for me and not my disease or my disease process, and I don't want them to feel bad about me. feel different about me. Let's rephrase that. Okay. What freedom is gained when you confront your fears? That fear is not of God. That is definitely for sure. But I'm not ready to face this fear. I know fear is not of God, but I'm not ready to divulge some of my medical information out there to everybody because of the big, humongous fear of that. Um, Confronting our fears and putting our trust in God can release God's peace into our hearts. Barbara Johnson writes, looking through the windows, could see the ferocity of the storm. Meteorologists say the most destructive winds of a hurricane occur along the east wall, and that's the part of the eye that walled their area. Then, as if the hurricane itself wasn't enough, the storm spun off several tornadoes that swirled around them as well. Outside the world was turned upside down, and the noise was deafening. Yet inside their wood frame home, which Veronica and Kyle had renovated with 11-inch thick walls, there was quiet peace. In fact, they felt such peace they all eventually went to bed and slept soundly as the storm blew through. Now, Veronica doesn't recommend does yeah define official orders and stand put when the authorities tell you to leave. But when you find yourself trapped in a storm with no way out, whatever kind of storm it is, she could tell you how to feel freedom from the fear that, by all accounts, should be part of the experience. We prayed and we asked for God's protection, Veronica said. We knew that whatever came, we could handle it because of our faith in Him. Um, I have done that several times, prayed when a storm was blowing through and prayed for our protection. Whether I know it's not just a girl thing, it's a human thing that we need. We're always worried about the next storm around the corner. Right now here in the Ozarks, yeah, a tornado can spin up with storms, but we're always worried about the ice storms, the snowstorms, on whether or not we could get out, whether the electric could go down, or anything. A storm could be anything, not just weather related. It could be medically. It could be anything. So the psalmist is right. He calms the storm so that it waves are still. Psalm 107 verse 29. Have you ever experienced God's peace in a difficult or scary situation, a storm of life that may have involved a little storm, a relationship crisis, a financial crisis, or a health crisis? Recall that situation. Um, yes, yes. I've been through many storms, many storms. Um, you stand on Psalm 91. That is a good psalm to stand on. I like Psalms. That's one of my favorite books of the Bible besides Isaiah. I know Isaiah was a prophet, um, and through my Pentecostal faith, that's part of who I am. Is that um, I see things sometimes, not always. And I know my grandpa. I know some people are turned off by Pentecostal faith, and they don't believe it on some things. But let me tell you a story. When my sister, I have a sister, she died of leukemia when she was 18 months old. Beforehand, before she passed away, this insurance guy, that was when they went door to door and tried to sell insurance. So he would oh, this is how he picked out who he would go visit. He'd open a telephone book and just go close his eyes and pinpoint down like that with a telephone book. And he kept pulling up on my parents' house. And he'd go visit the first time. He said, "You're going to need this." It was burial insurance. "You're going to need this insurance." So he did it a second time. Same thing. Went and visited. And then he did it again the third time, and he told my dad, said, "You're going to need this insurance. There is a reason why God is calling me to this house to get you to have burial insurance." So, needless to say, my mom, my dad, and well, mom's not buried yet, but my mom has a plot down there, and my dad is buried down there, and my sister is buried down there. And if I feel the need to be buried down there, which I don't, I have a plot as well. So there's an extra plot in the family plot because my brothers wasn't there at that time. So that's that's how I feel that God is always there, no matter what kind of storm He is preparing you a lot of times before the storm. Sometimes, not always. How did God's peace feel to you? Describe it in a few words. It felt like everything will be fine during some of my medical scares and some of the weather storms that have come through here. That everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. So, um, the prophet Isaiah praised God for keeping in perfect peace all who trust in you, whose thoughts are fixed on you. Isaiah 26, verse 3. Um, these are the practical ways I put my trust in God. Focus on what you do or say. I trust that He will see to my needs, which He does. He does. All the time. He sees to our needs. He makes sure that we're able. He makes sure we're fed. He makes sure we're spiritually fed. Everything. He just everything. This is what it means to fix my thoughts on God. To try and think what Jesus would do in this situation. A lot of times it's hard to say, well, what would Jesus do in this situation? Which is very hard sometimes. Very hard. Um, I've dealt with that this past deer hunting season. Um, and my husband would always take me back um to, like, okay, it's okay that he's got his deer stand over there. It's okay, don't worry about it. So that's a little bit part of, always it's hard to trust that God's got a hold in this situation, even though He does, but it's hard to trust Him in that situation. um Digging deeper. In what ways does the pursuit of your dreams and purpose involve overcoming fear with faith? How might you grow in faith in your ability to trust God in all things and for all things? Um, I my question is that just to dig more deeper into the Bible per se, and to trust that God's got this. No matter in this crazy world that we're living in right now, that God's got a handle on everything. He knows who His chosen. He knows. He just knows. Um, Ponder and pray. Can you believe we're about done with this chapter? In what ways do you feel challenged to ask God to help you trust Him more about a specific situation you are facing today? Well, um, I hmm. I feel challenged to ask God on some medical things and let my medical stuff come out. I trust God. I'm having a hard time trusting God in doing that, but that is what I am trusting. Hard to trust Him. So, and that is all of that chapter. The next chapter is called Freedom from the Sorrowful and Painful Memories. That is the next chapter, and we will try to do that one next week. But maybe I need to try to figure out this other stuff. Now the Bible study is pretty much done, but I want to make sure I stay on here for an hour. Um, my I was raised, Tiny Tim, in a Pentecostal church. Um, my grandpa was a Pentecostal minister. I was kind of raised a little bit of Baptist and a little bit of Pentecostal. Um, I grew up watching, shouting, and running up and down the aisles and dancing on the on top of the little rim of the top of the pews. I I remember doing that. I remember having church up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but that was back in the 70s, 80s type thing. Um, Whereabouts in Arkansas are you at, Tiny Tim? Are you close to Little Rock? I'm not familiar much with northern Arkansas. I live in the Ozarks as well, so and I'm a little bit an hour from Branson. That is where I am located at, an hour from Branson. Maybe I need to read Psalm 91 real quick. Let everybody know what that verse, what that book that says. Where is he that Psalm 91? I am reading that right now. Um, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers under his wings. Thou shalt trust his truck. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. There used to be a group um, that it was a mother and two daughters, and they would sing the song "Under My Savior's Wings," and one of them would do sign language. No, I'm north of Branson. One of them would do sign language, and I seen them in concert. I don't remember the name of the group right offhand. It was so beautiful with the sign language. It was just magic. Um, I am on verse 5. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come thy need. That is a good idea. I'm reading Psalm 91. It's a very good book. Very good chapter. Psalms is a very good book, a book of praise to me. Um, Only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High thy. And okay, I sort of kind of know where, sort of kind of. Um, Tiny Tim, there shall be no evil befall thee. I'm about 50 miles from Branson. For he shall give it his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shall thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. That is a very, very good book. Very good chapter in the book of Psalms. Which Psalms is a to me it's a book of praise. So I am trying to figure out. Still got 15 minutes. I want to. Alert Chief Meteorologist Ron Hurst. A new station alert has arrived for your area. Well, there's a new station alert arrived for my area. How cool is that? Probably talking about the weather, the rain that's coming in. That is probably what it is. The rain that is coming in. I'm not looking for. I am to a point looking forward to the rain, but not quite. I just don't like the cold air. Wayward children or family. Yeah, I don't per se have any of those right now. I'm glad my daughter jumped on here for a little bit earlier. I don't know if she's still here or not. And I know the other daughter is probably working today. Um, she is working and probably she's working. I would say she's in that mad rush. So, well, I don't know anything else to say, y'all. So, and wayward children. We used to have a Pentecostal preacher up here close that where I went to church at. Now I'm sort of leaning where I fit in the three local churches in this area. And he would always say, well, your wayward children, all you need to do is pray and they will come back. They will seek the truth. And his daughter did seek the truth. And she's back in the arms of God right now. I mean, she's back to where she's going to church and, she's married. Yes, I have my phone with me, Gail. Right here. What do I need to do, Gail, to make you a moderator? Do I need to go on YouTube? Let me go and see here. Go and see here. Oh. No. No. I am learning all this stuff. Learning, learning, learning. Learning, learning, learning. Always learning. I figured it out, Gail. I do believe. I think, yep. I figured it out. I got it done. You should be now a moderator. Yay! I figured it out. So glad I figured it out. So glad I was able to do that. Able to do that. But let me tell you a little bit about my background a little bit since we have time, because I want to make sure this is an hour. My background is from first grade to sixth grade. I already did that. You should be a moderator now, Gail. You should be a moderator now. Make sure. Yep, you should be a moderator now. Anyway, so from first grade to sixth grade, where I went to school at in Kansas, every Wednesday, our parents would sign a form. Either you could go to a Catholic church or a Baptist church. And my mama was raised Baptist, so I went to a Baptist church. On every Wednesday, we would all most of the kids would line up and load the bus, either on a bus to go to Catholic church or on a bus to go to the Baptist church. So from first grade to sixth grade, um, on Wednesdays was always church day. Always. We would go to school during the school hours, and we would have church school. And then when come sixth grade, I graduated from the sixth grade, and I graduated from the church school too. I mean, they would have, I have a little document on both for my sixth grade graduation and my sixth grade graduation from that. Well, that is awesome, Tiny Tim. That is so awesome. Um, so awesome. You never know. You never know on that. Um, and then as I was growing up, my grandpa, like I said, was a Pentecostal minister, and he would go to these different churches. Um, and that's what moms are for, is to pray for their children. I pray for both of mine every day, and both of my son-in-laws every day as well. Oh, Tiny Tim does not have a channel. Okay. Well, Tiny Tim, maybe you need to get a channel and reach out to people on the gospel. It's not that really, I mean, it is, but it's not, um to get a channel going. I am so glad I have my channel, and I feel, like I said, I feel led to do this, to reach out to people. And I feel that my reaching out is through YouTube, not per se inside the church as of right now, because I haven't really found my church home per se right now. Um, but I am leaning towards a Baptist church in the area, um, which I feel the Baptist preacher has. He don't just stand up there and read. He goes up there and he shouts it, almost like a Pentecostal type thing. Um, Not saying that churches that get up there and just read, the Bible and their sermon. Not to saying that's not okay, but I'm from a Pentecostal Baptist background, like I said before, and I just felt the need. I'm being pulled towards that church right now. And there is a excuse me, bluegrass gospel group that is around in this area. You have only an Android phone. Yeah, it kind of helps. I know I do a lot of taping on my phone, videoing on my phone. On some of the shorts, I do upload on my phone, but if you have a laptop or a desktop computer, you should be able to um, get up and running, Tiny Tim. I know I have a bigger camera as well. Sometimes I have to pull out if this is full. So, but I feel that you need to probably, you know, because I feel YouTube is such a wide um, variety of videos that, you know, oh, you only have your phone. Okay. Okay. Well, I know there's some apps as well. I don't have any apps on my phone to edit on your stuff, but you pray about it, Tiny Tim, and maybe God will see to it that you get a laptop and get you a channel. I agree with you, Gail. Yep, you could just start with your phone and upgrade later. Yep, yep. I know I started with my phone and a crappy laptop. And then I upgraded, then I had to upgrade again with my laptop, and I'm soon to be upgrading with my phone as well. Well, a new phone is same carrier, but new phone. Um, a lot of things are changing though here on YouTube. Um, but you pray about it, and if you feel the desire and feeling being felt led to do a channel, Tiny Tim, um, that is, be able you be able to do it. So the reason I started YouTube, oh, gotta catch this. So I'm gonna end that right now. So I'll see y'all later, and God bless. Hello. Sorry about that, and I am sorry about abrupt end. So I'm going to say see y'all later, and God bless. And nice to see everyone today. So I'll see y'all here next Wednesday. So see you then. See y'all later. Bye.